Yo, yo, yo. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and NBs everywhere? Welcome to the most interactive wrestling show on the interweb. Welcome to Wrestling with Omer. I am your host, Omer Q. Thank you, everyone who is joining me. Thank you for everyone who will join me as we break down what was an eventful weekend in the world of professional wrestling, to say the least. So much happened. So much to talk about. New champions crowned. One very important new champion in Hangman Adam Page, who finally finished his story, winning the All Elite Wrestling World Championship in one of the most spectacularly violent and spectacular affairs I've ever seen. I was there live on the scene at AEW, I almost said Grand Slam. We've had a few Grand Slams now, but I was on the scene indeed at AEW All In, Texas, in Dallas. Myself and Kenneth Baum were there, Mr. Kenny Baum, the one and only. Shout out to Adrian if you show up or you see this, who I met there. Absolute, what's the old Bret Hart say? Yeah, he's a jam-up guy. Yeah, absolute jam-up guy, absolute awesome dude. Met us and said hello, which was really cool. Yeah, big time Kenny Baum was there, and obviously the recognition was beyond the pale. But appreciate Adrian for saying hello. So many people were there. So many awesome moments, and none bigger than the main event, which we will talk about. We'll talk about the Hangman Page title win. You'll get my thoughts on All In. I'll also talk about WWE Evolution, which I thought, having watched it earlier today, absolutely spectacular pay-per-view. Like, this blows WrestleMania out of the water. This blew the Royal Rumble out of the water. This blew Elimination Chamber out of the water. This was, and let me say it clearly for the people in the back, WWE Evolution 2 was by far the best show that the company has put on this year. I will talk about that as well. A lot to get into. Also, the Seth Rollins injury. Is it a work? Is it a shoot? Is it a work shoot that turned into a shoot? We are about to find out all that and much more as we work our way through the news, work our way through the vibes, work our way to y'all hitting that like button, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. When you hit that like button, you know what happens? More people join the chat. More people see the video. More people join the community. Let's get it going. Smash that thumbs up. Let's get to 10 by the time I'm done with this intro, because I only have one more thing left to say, and that is that I am one tired SOB. In case you can't tell by my voice, I'm trying to put it on as much as I possibly can. If I put it on any more, I think I will probably risk losing it, which would in turn make sure that I don't get any videos out this week, which is kind of what happened last week. But anyway, point is, hit that like button, guys. We did get to 10. We got to 11, in fact. Thank you guys so much. All right. I see a lot of people in the chat. We got Frank sounding off in the chat. What's up, Frank? We got Job in the chat. Hello, Omer. Hello to you too, Job. We got Eric Douglas. I would have loved Darby to be the guy, but it had to be Hanger. That it did. That it did. Hey, Omer, AEW All In was fantastic. For me, it's the pay-per-view of the year. I'm so excited for All Out. Are you not excited for Forbidden Door, though? No, I'm excited for All Out, too. I will be at Forbidden Door, and I will be at All Out. I'm very excited for both of those shows as well. And All Out is going to be a raucous crowd there in Toronto as well. I don't know what you're going to start with, but what happened to Adam Cole, I will talk about that when I run down All In. Promise, I will talk about that. Any Jamie Hayter injury updates? I don't know anything. If I knew something, I would tell you. I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything. No. Hello to you too, Eric. Hi, it's been a great weekend seeing Mox lose the AEW World Championship. It's always great when Jon Moxley and the Death Riders take an L. I've been waiting for this moment I feel like over a year, but it's really only been the better part of like 10 months. But it was a great moment, fantastic moment, great to see it live. And the Young Bucks losing. Okay, so I'll start the All In talk with this. I was the only person in my entire section who was rooting for the Young Bucks, and here's why. If you ever see me at a wrestling show, if you ever hang out with me at a wrestling show, you will very quickly learn this. Unless someone is like literally one of my favorites, unless it's like Brian or Kenny or whatever. When the match, like y'all know I like everybody, but when the match is on, hey man, I might heal out on my section real quick. You know, everyone's like rooting for what's his name, Swerve and Ospreay, who I love. Let's go EVPs, baby. I was over there. This part of the reason I lost my voice. I was trying to single-handedly against like 20 whatever thousand people counteract the Ospreay and Swerve chants. I was like, they were like, "Let's go Ospreay," and I was like, "EVPs, EVPs." And they were like, "Ospreay, Ospreay, Ospreay, Ospreay." I was like, "Young Bucks, Young Bucks, Young Bucks, Young Bucks, Young Bucks, Young Bucks." It was a little too much. Everyone was like, "Whose house?" I was like, "Young Bucks, whose house? Young Bucks." I was absolutely cooking. I was absolutely cooking that night. But I had a fun time, as my voice can probably tell you. Overall, let's start with All In overall, and then we'll run down the very lengthy card. It was a phenomenal show. All In 2025 was a phenomenal show. It was a phenomenal time. OT grabs tomorrow, absolutely. Unless I get cooked at work, which I'm going to plan on not happening. OT grabs tomorrow. Anyway, overall thoughts on AEW All In 2025. I thought it was a spectacular show. I thought it was a bit of a changing of the, I'm not going to say changing of the guard for AEW because I feel like I've said that probably way too many times at this point. I felt like this was a statement pay-per-view for AEW that they needed. And I think what's interesting here is where they go from here. Because I really do think this is like the end of like a weird era, like the true end, I should say. The closing of the book of a very weird era in AEW where they saw, from a business sense, a lot of growth, but a perception sense, a lot of decline. And they've slowly but surely worked back to a very good level, I think, in the perception department. I think that the matches were great. I think people were very down on the pacing of the pay-per-view. And I think, there are two ways to pace a pay-per-view that I think can work. Number one is you pace it with, heavy match, weaker match, weakest match, heavy, weak, heavy, or something in that variety where it's like you sprinkle in the great matches in between all of the filler. Or there's another way to do it, which is you book basically a prelim on the pay-per-view, and then you get a main event, like the true main events, right? And I think there were three clear main events in this pay-per-view. You could argue four. It was it was Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada, Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley, and Mercedes Moné versus Toni Storm. You could argue that the Young Bucks title match was also one, or the Young Bucks versus Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland match was also one. I think the way that Tony laid this out seemed to be that they were going to have all of their heavy hitters at the end. And they wanted the crowd to kind of like be into it, enjoy it, but save that energy for those final three matches. Because I think Tony also knew we are in for a very, very, very long show. So let's talk about this very, very, very long show. And before I talk about it, let me talk about how long it freaking was. So Kenny Baum and I, we walk into the building right around 1 p.m. We did not leave until, I believe, just a little bit past 8. I believe it was just like a little bit past 8. I can check real quick to see what exact time we left. Ooh, let me not show you on my phone. Um, but it was the better part of like 6 or like I don't even want to say 7 because I feel like that would be an insane. Yeah, no, we left at 8. That is crazy. Kenny Baum and I were there for like the better part of 7 hours. And here's what I will say. That was too damn long, Tony. That was too damn long. 7 hours is wild. Wild. I am usually someone who doesn't mind the longer shows. However, this was just exceptionally just tiring. And like, look, I got a soda, I got the caffeine in me. They didn't have coffee, and I was looking for coffee, and they didn't have coffee anywhere, and I was really upset by that. Y'all in Texas, y'all gotta get your coffee on now. Why the hell y'all don't drink coffee in Texas? What's going on with y'all? Anyway, but I thought that it was too long. 12 matches was not. This didn't need 12 matches. I would argue you could have gotten like 9 matches, including the pre-show, is what you should be shooting for. I think. Give me 2 on the pre-show, 7 on the main show. Because we know these AEW matches, they're not going to be like 15 minutes. They're going to be like 20 to 30 minutes if we're lucky. Like I'll just run down like the length of the main card matches, right? MJF winning the Casino Gauntlet match, 34 minutes. The Fatal 4-Way for the AEW TNT Championship match, that's 15:45. Swerve and Ospreay versus the Young Bucks, 25:50. Athena winning the Casino Gauntlet match, 27 minutes. Hurt Syndicate defending the tag team titles, 18:40. Timeless Tony Storm, Mercedes Moné, AEW Women's World Title, 24:10. Okada Omega, 30:32. Hangman Mox, 35:55. Like, it is insane. It's insane. Like you could like. I'm not saying you cut a match, right? I mean, you could have just done the Casino Gauntlet matches on the pre-show. I mean, okay, not even that. I love Dustin. I love the TNT Championship and all that, and I love everyone who was in it. And we'll talk about Adam Cole in a second. That should have been on the pre-show. That should have been on the pre-show. Shout out to the men's Casino Gauntlet match. That should have been on the pre-show. Get MJF out there, give him a big win, and build some time between that and the tag team match that the Hurt Syndicate has later down the line. Should have been on the pre-show. I would have kept the women's gauntlet match on the main card because that was the better match, but that's just me. We have a super chat from J-Rod Clark. I watched AEW All In. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star event. WWE TKO is resuming their counter-programming with NXT Heatwave against AEW Forbidden Door. Why? Well, first of all, thank you so much for the super chat. Guys, you want to guarantee your question or statement is read on the air. That's the best way to do it. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Really do. Now, I will just say this. Right now, as far as we know, I believe that NXT Heatwave is scheduled to be a 6 p.m. start time, which I don't believe will... Well, actually, it will. If that is the case, it will not go up against Forbidden Door directly. It will be the same day, and I think that the strategy for WWE is you are going to have number one, you're going to have a lot of people watching wrestling that day, and I think WWE wants to kind of compete and take advantage of that a little bit, knowing that AEW is going to draw a lot of eyeballs. But number two, more importantly, I think it's like a bit of a 2 birds, 1 stone situation where they feel like they can take some of the energy out coming out of that AEW show online, on Twitter, getting the algo and all that kind of stuff. And on top of it, they can kind of saturate the market a little bit. Like, that's the whole strategy. And yes, it is at the expense of NXT. I have heard very good things about that NXT show, Great American Bash. I will get to watching it at some point this week. I know and I heard that the Ricky Starks versus All Ego Ethan Page match was amazing, and I will watch it. But you put your talent up, you set your talent, up to fail going up against the biggest show that AEW is going to put on all year. Quite frankly, you did. And the counter programming, it seems to be a philosophical point for WWE. They want to do it, and they're going to continue to do it as long as they have the upper hand, or they believe they have the upper hand. Do you think that Forbidden Door is usually the most boring season or for AEW each year? Do I think it's the most boring? I wouldn't say boring. I will say this. There is definitely a financial boost for AEW when they do Forbidden Door. Whether people want to poo that or not, it is the truth. And it plays a factor into things. AEW Forbidden Door is AEW's second most successful pay-per-view every year. That's just the truth of it, on average at least. Of course, there have been years where like Revolution was obviously a very big success last year, but I'm talking about on average, if you look at it from attendance, from gate, from buys, Forbidden Door is usually the number 2 pay-per-view in those metrics. So if that's the case, and look, AEW, they just had another very successful gate for Forbidden Door. Next month, they're going to have like 13,000 people in the building for that show already, and it's going to be in England, so it's probably going to be a good walk-up for them. If that's the case, you're not going to stop. I think they did a lot better job last year building up Forbidden Door, for sure. I think they need to build on that strategy of introducing these people, and I think they have. Big match for Forbidden Door, I think we'll see, is Mystico versus MJF. I fully expect that. Whether the crowd, which I will be there for, is going to be singing Mystico's song is TBD. But one thing I know about British fans, they will learn that shit. They will learn it. They will learn it. They will learn it if that's what it takes. I heard good things about Great American Bash, but Saturday night, lame event. I heard Evolution was all right. Evolution was a fantastic show. Evolution was a spectacular show. Like, the women are carrying WWE right now, and it's not even close, man. Like, Roman, like, who cares? It's like none of them are making the impact that the women have made. I just got a text from an anonymous. That is crazy. I don't know if, I don't even know if this is true. Yo, I just got a text from somebody. Heads up, McGregor's meat is on the timeline. That is wild. That is wild that is... All right. Wow. I guess that happened. Be sure to hit that like button for more analysis. More analysis and breaking news like that. Well, I will not be showing y'all that. What's up, Wall Street Money? I think Mike Santana is going to win the TNA Championship at Slammiversary. It's going to be a very good show. Yep. I am, as of right now, still planning to go to Slammiversary. That might change. That might not. We will see. But I fully expect Santana to have his crowning moment next week. All right, back to the show, guys. Let's be running down this very long show. Men's Casino Gauntlet match, MJF, Roderick Strong. I thought it was a good match. He pinned Roderick Strong, I should say. Thought it was a good opener. I did not watch this match initially, and I will say this. I missed everything from, let's see. Actually, yeah, no. I straight up missed the first 4 matches. Actually, no, the first 5 matches of this show. And that's including the pre-show. So I missed the 8-man tag match on the pre-show. I missed the other 8-man tag match on the pre-show with Big Boom AJ. I missed FTR versus the Outrunners on the pre-show. I missed the Ops, who opened up the main show defending the Trios Championships against the Death Riders. And I missed the entire men's Casino Gauntlet match. You may be wondering why I missed these. I'm not like taking a break. I wasn't going to get something to eat. No. I was in the longest merch line in the history of professional wrestling, according to me. I was in the longest merch line in the history of professional wrestling, according to me. AEW creatively is in a boom period. AEW, from a vibe standpoint, is doing very well. The merch and marketing situation has not improved. In fact, this merch situation compared to Wembley last year is absolutely insane. What did I get? I almost got nothing because there was nothing left by the time I got there. I really wanted. They had these really dope baseball button-up jerseys that had All In 2025 on them. I was ready. It was like $70. I was like, take my money. Take my money. Me and Kenny Baum were in line for like nearly 2 hours. Nearly 2 hours of this show, we were stood in line. And you know what happened, people? You know what happened? We get there, and all they basically had left were the generic, I was there, AEW All In printed shirts. I ended up getting like a version of it that had Kenny Omega and Okada on it. Like, they're like little teaser promo, but it was just, man, it was bad. It was so bad. I am going to say this, man. I don't care what your business model is. I don't care what you're projecting. I don't care what the marketing is. You know you're going to have like 20,000 people showing up. Number one, have more than 2 merch stands for the entire freaking arena. That's number one. Number two, and more importantly, if you have, and you know you have 20,000 people showing up to a show, have 20,000 of those really cool buttoned-up jerseys. What are we doing? Insane. Like, I'm going to say it. I go to a WWE event. Guess what I'm not worried about? Getting merch, because they got all the merch. Lock on lock. Insane. Absolutely insane, man. 2 merch lines for the entire show. For 20, what is it, 25, 26, 20, for 20 whatever thousand people. You had 2 merch lines. 2. My voice is cracking because I lost it screaming at that show with this stupid random shirt around my... Whatever, man. That was a big low point, though. The merch was a big low point for this. Worst merch situation I've ever dealt with. Bottom of the barrel when it came to merch. Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Absolutely stank. How was Texas? The barbecue was very good. I enjoyed the barbecue. His voice went out. Oh, my voice went out? Like, oh, you mean here? Yeah, here it went out. I was wondering if it's out here. Thanks for the rant. They only had 1 merch line for World's End when I went, but they aren't a merch company. They better get... They need to be. Because you had freaking 10,000 people. You had 10,000 people. You got 10,000 people in this merch line. That means 10,000 people who want to spend money on your... I have never seen a company that penalizes you so much for wanting to spend money on their product. Insane. How was the food in the stadium? I didn't get, what I get. I got a water, I got a soda because I was tired, so I needed caffeine, and I got nachos. Nachos were decent. They didn't have jalapenos, though, which was, mind-blowing. I'm like, I'm in Texas. How do I not have jalapenos? And how do I not have more than 20 people hitting that like button when there's, 30 plus watching? Be sure to smash that thumbs up. AEW is a t-shirt company after all. Oh, geez, remember this. Yeah. All right, real quick. I will get to some of these other chats. I really want to hear your thoughts about the G1 Climax this year. It's going to be the first watch for me. G1 every year is really good. I would put money on Takeshita is all I will say about that. What's up, Cody Rhodes era? All right, let me run down this card and then get to the main matches that I know we all want to talk about. Ops versus the Death Riders. I didn't watch it live. I watched it back. It was good. It was fine. They wrote Samoa Joe off so he wouldn't interfere in the main event, and I thought that was really cool. MJF winning the Casino Gauntlet match. Highlight here was the integration of the Luchadors. Of course, we saw Mystico appear. He got a massive pop in the arena. I was in the merch line, but I could hear that pop, and it was insane. You also had Beast Mortos get a big pop, and Juice Robinson returned in the most unspectacular way possible. I marked out in line when I heard his music, but then I was like, wait, well, I saw on Twitter like what he was wearing. I was like, hey yo, why he look like bootleg Bo Dallas? Shout out to Bo Dallas, but why he look like BT Bo Dallas? So yeah, my boy should have yo hit me up, bro. Hit me up. I'll get you fresh. I'll get you fresh for your next match. But MJF won. He now has a future AEW World Championship match. The thing here about the gauntlet is that it is not necessarily going to be a cash-in. Tony Khan has not specified what it's going to be, but it's going to be kind of decided at a later date. All right, I saw a bunch of you asking about this in the chat. Well, actually, let's get to this. They should have 5 or 7 merch stands. Yes, for a show that big, you better have like 5 or 7. I agree, 100%. Getting to the TNT Championship match, Adam Cole is the most unlucky player in all pro wrestling. He just came back from an injury and was on his way to be relevant as he was before, but he got injured again. It's very sad, man. Yeah, absolutely. I could not have said it better myself. It's a very sad situation. I know a lot of people are asking about what's going on with Adam Cole, and here's what we know. FightfulSelect.com had reported that it was concussions. So I know there's a lot of rumor about, is it another health issue? Is it another illness or what? It seems to be concussions. The story goes that Adam Cole did not feel well on Friday night I believe it was the wee hours of Saturday morning. He did not feel well, and he ended up calling Tony Khan, and a decision was made that he should step away for a while, an indeterminate amount of time. And as someone who has, been very familiar with these concussion issues, read up on it, and knowing people who've gotten bad concussions and things like that, I can tell you these things can be very weird and touch and go, in that you never want to take the risk of getting that one bad concussion that is going to cause even more irreversible brain damage. If we're being honest, we know that CTE has affected athletes in every major sport, especially contact sport. And I think that this is AEW, Adam Cole, and everyone else being cautious. That doesn't make it any more, it doesn't make it any better that this happened. And it's sad. Adam Cole might be, and I'm not trying to drag him or whatever. He genuinely might be the most snake bit wrestler of the past couple of years, because Adam Cole in 2020, 2021 was a different animal, a monster. And I'm not just saying the wrestler. He's always been a great wrestler, but I mean the aura that this man had, the energy that he had, the feeling you had, Adam Cole is on, must watch. Tony Khan even said that when AEW and NXT were going head to head, Adam Cole was the one guy he was very worried about every week, because he was he's doing some good stuff. And it's just very sad. He came out and he did a speech. He was very emotional, and Roddy and Kyle were out there, and it was just very sad, man. It's very sad. I wish Adam Cole nothing but the best. I personally, look, I'm a huge fan of wrestlers. I'm a huge fan of Adam Cole's wrestling style, especially. If I have no problem with him never wrestling again, because because I would rather have him be healthy, man. I just hope he's able to be healthy, live a wonderful life, and just do things that make him happy that aren't wrestling, if that's what's needed. So, yeah. Concussions can take a while to heal. Adam Cole was a different monster, or ROH Adam Cole was a monster. Yeah, he was, man. Shout out to Adam Cole. Also, shout out to the son of Texas, We did have a 4-way match for the TNT Championship. We had Dustin Rhodes, Daniel Garcia, Kyle Fletcher, and Sammy Guevara. Match did not have any heat in the crowd. As like I think a lot of people were kind of still like reacting to the Adam Cole thing. Because if you were in the arena and not in my chat apparently, because I went live, I did a live stream like before the show started when we just got into our seats, and it was like 10 minutes or so, and I think it was Eric in the chat who was like, "Oh, Adam Cole, he just got taken out." And I was like, what? No, it's a rumor and innuendo. It's not confirmed. But then I saw that it was confirmed, and it was crazy. But like a lot of people, they're not like on Twitter or whatever when they're at these shows. They're engaging with people. They're buying merch. They're getting food. They're doing whatever, taking pictures. So when that happened, it was a shock. It was to a lot of people. It was a shock. It was like a bit of a gasp in the arena. And, it took the life out of the match. Everyone expected Kyle Fletcher to win, and I think they're saving that for a different moment. I think they wanted to kind of make the crowd happy and also give Dustin a major moment here, and he got a major moment. He is now the TNT champion, the same title that his brother Cody started, the Cody Rhodes belt in AEW, and now he's carrying that legacy. So shout out to Dustin. I fully expect him to lose. That's so mean. No, shout out to him. We also had Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks in a match for the EVP title, apparently. All right. So, actually, wait. Before we get to that, I know I see a chat I do want to get to. 2 Texas kids showed up and showed out. I'm happy for Dustin and Athena. Shout out to them. Absolutely. He will job out to Kyle soon. Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. I guarantee you that Swerve and Ospreay are about to pull up in a limousine with suits and sunglasses next Wednesday. That'd be wild. I could see Swerve pulling up in a suit. Ospreay's like in his like pajamas, goes, "Hey, bro, let's go. We're going off a plane." Like, whatever. But yeah. So you had Swerve and Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks. Insane match, really fun. I knew that, like, we all knew that the match was going to live up to the athletic hype that people had shined upon it. I was very surprised at just, man, how awesome the energy was in the arena. Because even for the Young Bucks, and they're like, they're Washington crossing the frozen tundra of the Potomac entrance, people were getting out of their seats, people were booing. I was the only one cheering, but I thought it was spectacular. If you have not seen this match, I highly recommend you go watch it. It's so fast paced. It was exactly what it needed to be. Near fall after 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 near fall. Everyone hitting everyone else's moves, but Swerve and Ospreay won. The Young Bucks are no longer EVPs, and now I guess Swerve and Will Ospreay are officially the EVPs. So shout out to them. The Young Bucks entrance was too long. How dare you say that about our former EVPs? How dare you? Were the AEW titles on the line last Wrestle Dynasty? I believe the International Championship was. I believe the International title was. The TNT title may have also been. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they were. But I don't think the main belt was. I don't believe the main belt was. Because Mox is like, Japan is where I'm not going. Ospreay's dead right now, stretchered. Yeah, he was stretchered out, which we'll talk about later. Athena won the Casino Gauntlet on the women's side for future AEW World Championship match. This was the better of the two Casino Gauntlets. I thought this was a well-built match. I thought it was a well-paced match. I thought the stories in this match, from the return of Harley Cameron to Anna Jay to Penelope Ford and her involvement, all of it was fantastic. Sky Blue got in it, and this had a lot more energy. This had a lot more. You could feel like they were building to something. And I think the TLDR here is AEW Women's Tag Team Championships are coming. Like that is they built up a lot of tag feuds in this match, and I think that's a very good thing. How soon they execute on it is TBD. I hope they don't wait until like All Out or something, unless they do like a major tournament, which I know Tony loves, but you're gonna do a major tournament in December, so I don't know. Look, whatever. But did I see the Swerve meme? Yes, I saw the Swerve. The Swerve Genie meme? Yes, I saw it. But yeah, I love this match. Athena won. She was the right person to win. I thought it should have been either her or Willow, and I was very, very happy when she won. That was dope. All right. 3-way tag match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. You had the Hurt Syndicate versus Jet Speed versus the Patriarchy. I am not going to go blow for blow in this match. Oh, Jesus. Man, I can't. I can't. It's like I got like fist in. All right, whatever. I just can't talk, guys. I am incapable of saying something without sounding weird. All right, but yeah, the 3-way tag match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The Hurt Business won, the Hurt Syndicate won. And the story was obviously after the match. And yes, this is exactly what we're about to talk about. Adam Copeland's ultimate aura farming. Okay, let's break it down. It's the end of the match. FTR were on the commentary table, and after the Hurt Syndicate had won and left the ring, Christian Cage and his sons, Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne, were in the ring with him, shaking their heads. Christian Cage is about to get up. FTR get in the ring, and FTR and Nick Wayne start jaw-jacking a little. And then Christian, being the ultimate father that he is, says, "No, Nick, we're not doing this." And he says, "We're going." And as Christian Cage goes to leave, a ghost of Christian past comes back to haunt him. Because Christian is in the ropes, getting ready to leave, getting ready to step out. And just like he did to Jack Perry a couple of years ago when he turned on Jack Perry, as Jack Perry was stepping out in the same way that Christian was out of the ring, Nick Wayne takes him, hits the kill switch, turning on his father, betraying his adopted patriarch, planting Christian Cage's face square into the mat. Then FTR start the beatdown. Then Kip Sabian, Mother Wayne laughing in the distance. It was a setup. It was a ruse. They are finally sick and tired of Christian Cage. They've learned everything that they can from Christian Cage. So therefore, they have no more use for Christian Cage. Then they set up a concerto. And as they set up this concerto, Christian knocked out, Nick Wayne lifts the chair above his head. We hear the song, "On This Day." Everyone loses their mind. I am singing. I am chanting. I am going crazy. And then suddenly I realize something. Copeland is doing a run-in. Why is he running and aura farming and doing his whole come on to the side of the entrance when his friend that he's about to save, or at least trying, you would think, to save, is about to get concussed? Okay, does a little bit of this. That's maybe that's what he's hyped up. Okay, get it. What was crazy was he went to the other side. He stopped, and then he looked down the ramp, and he starts walking. And then he stops again, and he does the full Cope edge pose, like putting his hands in the air, the rock star thing, and they set off at least a couple of $100,000 worth of pyro. And I'm thinking to myself, I look over at Kenny, actually. I looked over at Kenny and I said, pyro for a run-in is crazy. Nasty work by Tony Khan and AEW. Nasty work by Cope. Nasty work by all involved. Y'all thought Penta doing the little the little dance. You thought Penta doing the dance in a run was bad. Y'all thought that Jeff Hardy. At least Jeff Hardy, when he was hitting that, there was urgency. He was like, all right, let me get this. I'm going to run. Like, there was a little bit of that. Cope was just like, yeah, I'm going to aura farm. He was spamming the taunt button. He was in 2K spamming the taunt button. Like, there was no, it was wild. So Cope just aura farms his way to the ring. He's got Spike in hand. He runs off the heels. He spears everybody. And then he helps Christian Cage up. And as Christian Cage looks off to his friend who just saved him from certain doom, Cope stops him from a hug and says, "Go find yourself." A callback to the infamous line where Cope was told by Christian, "Go fuck yourself." Pardon the language. Aura farming aside, this was dope. And you know what it means? We're getting Cope and Christian back together at some point. Yeah. I need to aura farm like that. Is that what people are saying in the chat? I need to aura farm. All right, let me aura farm like that. That's my aura farm. That's my aura. I don't even know. How do I mean, I feel like I don't aura farm. I just like pause and I'm like, actually no. I feel like my pauses are aura farms. My like very patient pauses. I'm like, but here's the thing. Like that's my way of aura farming. I don't really aura farm any other way. Well, Street Money, you lost aura. Yeah, I did. I did lose aura. I lost the like copious amounts of aura. But all right. Anyway, that was dope. Running down the main event, Timeless Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné. Great match. I was surprised at the result. I was surprised that Toni Storm won. And like, here's the thing: she delivered the package pile driver to Mercedes a couple of times in this match. Seeing her do the package pile driver off the top rope had me like, Mercedes is gonna kick out of this. And it was like, oh no, she didn't. Oh my God, Toni Storm won. And it was dope. Like, I do think in the long run, Toni Storm definitely gets a lot more out of this for winning. As much as I would have loved the Mercedes, like 8 belts, but, or was it 6 or 7 belts, Moné? As much as I would have loved that, you know, Toni, man, this makes Toni a made woman. And this sets you up for that Mercedes Toni Storm rematch down the line. These two killed it. I think it was the right call. I enjoyed it. Either one winning, to be honest, would have been fine with me. But yeah, they should recall themselves the coping mechanism. That is nasty work. That is nasty work. Did WWE give Adam the rights to his music back? Adam Copeland has always had the rights to that music. He knows the lead singer of the band. He has the rights. WWE got it through him. He doesn't have the rights to the Edge name. Toni Storm is to go to AEW. There's an argument to be made that is the case. Toni Storm needs to lose the TBS championship. Ty Mello, Sky Blue, Anna Jay need that title. I think I definitely see her losing. I don't think it's going to be to any of those women. Not that they're not deserving. I just think those women are slated to be in the tag team title picture when AEW unveils those tag team belts. I think that the person that comes to mind for Mercedes is Willow. I think Willow Nightingale is the person who is going to beat Mercedes for that belt in a rematch of their really good 2024 match at Double or Nothing. All right, final 2 matches here. Kazuchika Okada, Kenneth by God Omega, Continental Champion, International Champion, title for title, winner take all to define and determine the unified champion. There was a lot of build up to this. There was so much talk. There was so much hype. There was so much hullabaloo. 4 matches that have defined an entire era of professional wrestling. In my view, one of those matches happens to be the greatest wrestling match of all time. And I think that Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada had a good match at All In. But it was not a great match. And I don't think it was meant to be a great match for 2 big reasons. Number 1, both of these guys are a lot older than they were before. Both of these guys are not as athletic. They both have a different style. Kenny Omega is coming back from having like multiple feet of his intestines removed. Secondly, you have the fact that Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada 6 is around the corner. Yes, 6 is around the corner. They are building up to a 6th match. Okay? We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know how. But they are definitely building up to a 6th encounter. And the one thing I will say, I agree with Wall Street Money here. I still think it was a great match and they had good chemistry. The chemistry was there. This was a different match. This was not going to be that New Japan style of full speed and then like methodical aggression, urgency. There was not going to be that level of urgency, right? The urgency was not going to be there in this match because of the story they were telling. This was supposed to be Okada beating down Omega slowly, methodically, attacking the diverticulitis. That's what it was. And I think that there's going to be another match. I think Don Callis' shenanigans also played a role in that. I was obviously not a clean finish. So what they want to do is give that, I think, a determined and definitive winner. I don't think it has much to do with age. I think it was designed this way with Don Callis shenanigans. Did you not see that? I did see it. And it was obviously designed this way, but I also think, like, look, some of the things that they did, they are not going to do, right? Kenny Omega is not going to go flying off, jumping off, through, like, not even through the ropes, above the ropes through a table on Kazuchika Okada. That's not going to happen. They are not going to set up tables on the railings and then, like, stomp each other through them, hitting their backs and their necks on the ground again. Like, they're not going to do that level of stuff. So I think part of it is age, but, like, part of it is also the story they're telling. They're telling a story of a beat down Kenny Omega. They're telling a story of Kenny Omega who is still recovering and getting used to the hits of in-ring, or of being in the ring again. Excuse me. So I think we're going to get a 6th match. What that 6th match is and what it looks like is going to be interesting. But I don't think it's going to be as quote-unquote good as, or I think it's not going to be the same as like their first 4 matches. It's going to be different, and it has a chance to be a different level of good. Like I said, this was a good match, but it wasn't great. And I will stand by that. And it wasn't meant to be a great match either. Tekla wins the feud with Aminata 2-1 by cheating in the last match after both women faced Monet in a 3-way. Aminata pins Tekla. You protect Monet that way. Tekla wins it at the next pay-per-view. Hey, Queen Aminata winning a title, you don't got to tell me twice. I'm happy that there was no interference rule was reinstated for the Unified Championship. It should always be defended internationally it should also, be defended internationally. By the way, it should be called the Unified Global Championship. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind even just calling it the Global Championship. I think Unified is just like so. I don't like the Unified term. I thought they had established something with the International Championship. Like maybe the Unified International Champion. I would have liked that. But, I'm not their marketing guru. And not like they were hiring me anyway. Although they should. I am very, very experienced in marketing. If I may say so myself. Literally what I did all day today. Gosh. Um, yeah. How long do you think Hangman holds for? Well, let's talk about Hangman Adam Page. So, Hangman Adam Page, John Moxley went toe to toe, balls to the walls in a Texas death match. And I think what I can honestly say is the best Texas death match I have ever seen. Are y'all ready? This was a fantastic freaking match. Hangman Adam Page makes his return to Texas, coming out of not the heel tunnel, but finally, after nearly a year, the face tunnel. Hangman Adam Page makes his return, galloping to the ring, belt in hand, and then comes out and has all this pyro. He had a whistler. It was amazing. The aura was there. The people were going crazy. Cowboy was being chanted. It was great. Mox comes out. Everyone's booing. He's got his truck. He comes out. And the story of this match was at the beginning very similar to the story of I think each of the Mox matches that there's been. We have slow methodical start. Each person goes back and forth a little bit. And then we get the Death Rider shenanigans slowly but surely. Marina Shafir gets involved. Marina Shafir interrupts. Marina Shafir, who's at ringside, gets a little bit of her comeuppance, but then the other Death Riders come in. And the other Death Riders, the numbers game is at play. And at first, we get the first face run-in with not with Mox, with who? Oh, sorry. We get the first face run-in with Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay runs down. He's trying to help Adam Page, but gets overwhelmed by the numbers of the Death Riders, reestablishing the threat that they are. Because they Pillmanize Will Ospreay. He gets stretchered off. Something people weren't expecting. People were expecting happy-go-lucky Will Ospreay. Yeah, bro. Elbowing people, taking everyone out. But no. No. Instead, the Death Riders actually took out one of the key figures in this story, telling you that they are not to be messed with and that this is not going to be a happy ending. But then Hangman is able to circumvent the numbers game, at least for a while, until we get Wheeler Yuta coming in with a bag, a plastic bag, the same plastic bag that they choked Bryan Danielson out with, suffocated, I should say, Bryan Danielson with twice. And instead, right before they're about to do it to Hangman Page and he's about to probably lose this match, we get Darby Allin appearing via video from the top of Mount Everest saying, Mox, I told you I'm going to take everything away from you. And I am. So, Darby Allin, video plays, everyone's going crazy. And then out of nowhere, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, dressed as Blue Panther, which sounds like something that would literally happen in my dream. But the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, dressed as Blue Panther, appears chanting, yes, yes, yes. And after nearly a year, gets his revenge on Wheeler Yuta, hits him with the Psycho knee, gets ready to start ripping everyone in the former BCC. Now the Death Rider's a new one. He beats up Claudio. He beats up Gabe Kidd. He beats up Wheeler Yuta. He's going at it. People are chanting, yes, 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 all the while. And I was in the arena for this because, guys, right before Bryan came out, I looked up. I'm like, oh, this is really, what is that thing? And that thing hanging over 100 feet in the air from the very tip top of the stadium, not arena, the stadium, was Darby Allin. And he was hanging there. Y'all seen that SpongeBob meme where at the end of the SpongeBob movie, he's just kind of dangling? That is what I was witnessing. I was like, Darby Allin was dangling there for like 5 whole minutes. And 5 minutes dangling hundreds of feet in the air. I know he just climbed Mount Everest, but like, that's, what the hell? And then he slowly propels in one of the coolest looking things I've ever seen in pro wrestling. He rappels down and he's looking right at Moxley. But notice this, neither him, neither Ospreay, neither Bryan Danielson touched Moxley. They did not interact with Moxley. They just shared him a glance and looked away and allowed Hangman Page to do all of the physicality. Because they were not there to help Hangman win. They were there to level the playing field. They were there to make sure that the Death Riders didn't get involved. They were there because they knew that Hangman was the better wrestler that day. They didn't need to hit people in the back with chairs that were involved in the match. They didn't need any of that. No. They just needed a chance and to give Hangman that chance. And that's what they did in the story. And Hangman and Mox go at it. Mox pulls out like a barbed wire table. You had a bed of nails, which is still one of the craziest things I've seen. It was wild. It was absolutely insane. But then we get the finish. The finish where neither Moxley or Hangman are getting the upper hand. The 10 counts are not working. Hangman, at this point, knows that there is a way to defeat Jon Moxley. It's the same way that he defeated Jon Moxley the last time they faced off in the Texas Death Match. And that is for him to live up to his namesake as the Hangman. And then he can't find the chain. There is no chain. Moxley, attacking Hangman, bets him down. And then he looks over at Marina Shafir and he says, Marina, let's go. Give me, or what did he say? He said, give me a chair. So Marina goes to get the chair and suddenly realizes, as she's like, goes to the timekeeper's area to get it, suddenly realizes, I'm handcuffed. How did I get handcuffed? And then out from under the table comes Prince Nana doing his little swerve dance. So Prince Nana got involved here. Prince Nana handcuffed Marina and again did not touch Mox. Just took Marina out of the equation. And on the other side of the ring, coming down the top of the ramp was Swerve Strickland with that chain in hand. The very chain that was left in Swerve's locker room on Thursday night on Collision after Swerve and Hangman had their talk. And he just puts it in the ring in front of Hangman. And Hangman knew what to do. The very chain that Swerve hung Hangman with, Hangman uses as he wraps it around Moxley's neck. And he goes and he throws him over to try to choke him out. And it didn't work this time. Then he hits him with a lariat. And then he does it on the other side. And then Jon Moxley, suffocating, the life leaving his body, panicking for the first time ever in his run because he knows not only is his title reign in jeopardy, but his life is. Jon Moxley does the only thing in his panic-stricken face that he can do. And that is tap. Defeated for the first time since October, Jon Moxley losing the AEW World Championship, and new All Elite Wrestling World Champion, Hangman Adam Page, and Adam Page crying with tears in his eyes. This was the greatest night of his life. It was crazy. The crowd goes wild. People were crying. There was the dude 2 rows in front of me. I I have never seen someone cry like that at a wrestling show other than me when Brian won. But I've never seen anyone else cry like that at a wrestling show. The tears were flowing down his face in jubilation for what had transpired, man. And it was dope. It was magical. That's what pro wrestling is at its best. It's just magic, man. It takes you out of things. It takes the stress off of you. It's an escape for you. And that's what this was for, I think, everyone in that stadium and everyone watching at home. It was an amazing moment. It was an amazing match. I said this earlier to one of my friends. I think this might be one of my favorite, if not my favorite match of all time. And recency bias aside, we'll see how I feel in a couple of weeks, but I really do feel like this is up there for me. Hangman then proceeds to open the briefcase for the first time since October. We see the AEW World Championship, and it has Bryan Danielson's side plates on it, as was mentioned in the chat. He hangs it up high above his shoulders. Hangman Adam Page, new AEW World Champion. This might be my match of the year. Yeah, this was such a great match. Which one was bigger? Cody finishing the story or Hangman Page redemption story? Which one was bigger? I mean, depends what you mean by bigger. Look, if you ask me which one was bigger, it was Cody. Which one was better? It was Hangman. That's my honest opinion. TK did the right thing. Hangman winning the AEW title. With tears in my eyes. Omer, I know you're all for a competition between companies, but come on. Both BS WWE tried to pull on Saturday was horse poop. I'm glad AEW buried WWE. I agree it was horse poop. I do agree with that. When I say competition, I just mean like having multiple companies that are at the level that they are. I don't mean like this predatory stuff that WWE does. Who's your way too early prediction for the Owen? I say Jamie for the women and Ospreay for the men. Ospreay for the men for sure. I could see Jamie, but I could see someone very young coming out of nowhere. Tekla, who is on the come up, I think, could be up there. Megan Bain, like a heel's got to win it at some point like that. I think there's got to be a bunch of options. It's a very talented pool for AEW. Very talented. You know, is Brian's side placer still on it? Yep. Biggest moment of the year is Cena's heel turn, but the biggest story is Hangman's redemption arc. Do you agree? 100%. Actually, I mean, bigger moment. I mean, yeah. Cena's heel turn was a bigger moment. Just not even, yeah. Everything following it, no, but it was one of the biggest moments of all time. It wasn't that much shenanigans, to be fair, just the right amount. Yes, you didn't have the music playing. You didn't have the pomp and circumstance. It was exactly what it needed to be. I love that show. I love that show so much, man. All right. Before we go, I do want to give it up for the Evolution show. I got to head out in very soon. So if you have not seen Evolution, please watch it. Io Sky versus... sorry. I had a brain fart. Long day, guys. Long day. Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley was probably the WWE match of the year, or was building up, in my view, to be the WWE match of the year. I still might put the triple threat on that, but my God, this was fantastic. Evolution showed you exactly what WWE can be when they care and when they matter and when they feel like a show needs to be talked about and they need to be successful. And you know, their backs were against the wall on this one a little bit. They had sold less than 5,000 tickets just a week out, which is something unheard of in modern day WWE. So the fact that they were able to pull this off and it was such success, it's a testament, I think, to the talent. Becky, Lyra, and Bayley went out there, had an awesome match. This was some of the best wrestling you'll see in ring wise. It was fantastic. And Naomi's cashing was a cherry on top. She's coming off of a massive feud ender against Jade Cargill, and then in the same night she cashes in, becomes the women's world champion. It was awesome. And I knew Io was going to eat that pin. We all knew it. I was thinking it was going to be to Rhea Ripley, but Naomi, hey, man, let's do it. I did not watch Saturday night's main event. I watched like the last couple of minutes of Bill Goldberg's match. I saw right after the jackhammer when Gunther was down. He was like, Goldberg pinned me, and he gets his head up. I saw that botch, but yeah. I also saw they cut away from his retirement speech, which was wild. But the Evolution is a card you have to see. It is an event you have to see. Was this the best All In? In my opinion, or objectively, if I'm looking as a professional wrestling analyst, I would say that if I had to say, I would say that this All In was the best booked All In. Top to bottom, it felt and the best, like, as far as stories coming into it. I don't think it was the best event because I still think All In 2023 was a very like, they're all special, but like that was a very special show. Like, that just off of vibes and aura, like that is a once in a lifetime type of deal. As a fan, y'all already like lost your money. I already knew he was going to say 2024. Now, look, objectively ranking them 2023, 2025, 2024. That's how I would objectively rank them. If I had to look at it as a fan, 2024, 2024, 2024. No, it would be 2024, 2025, 2023. That's just me. And then let's talk quickly, because I do have to jet in like a minute or two. Talk quickly about the Seth Rollins situation. A lot has been made about this. There are MJF's Triple B over Donald Trump's Triple B any day. The big beautiful whatever, man. Whatever. Let's talk about Seth Rollins though. So Seth Rollins, as you guys know, got injured, quote unquote, at WWE Saturday Night's Main Event in a spot. There's been a lot of back and forth. I know that a couple of people had said that they were told beforehand, and by a couple of people specifically, I'm talking about John Pollock of Post Wrestling, stated that he was told beforehand that there was going to be an injury angle on this pay-per-view, and this was before the pay-per-view, before Saturday Night's Main Event. He was told there was going to be an injury angle, and that it was going to be worked into the story somehow. Now, that could be a reason to not believe that this was a true injury, but it was a work. But Rollins was backstage on crutches. We know this, according to FightfulSelect.com. People were pretty convinced backstage that this was a serious thing. We then had a couple of reports from PW Insider this morning. For those who have asked about reports, this is all some sort of work. It is not. And anyone claiming such is being completely disrespectful to Rollins at this point. As we reported previously, this is not a work. There was no planned cash-in on Saturday night's main event, etc. Wasn't done there. Goes on to say, there's a lot of fear that Rollins suffered a major injury, but nothing has been confirmed yet. The belief among those within WWE is that they will have a diagnosis on the severity of Rollins' injury within the next few days. He is expected to be in attendance at Raw tonight. Then have Brian Alvarez of Wrestling Observer. Seth Rollins' injury spot on Saturday night's main event was reportedly a cover for a legitimate injury he suffered before Saturday. Somebody today told me what happened. They say what is going on is the reason that these stories are conflicting is because he is hurt, but what happened on Saturday was a storyline, meaning he is hurt, but he did not get hurt on that spot. That spot was to cover for an injury that he has, which he will have worked on, and they are in Birmingham. So the idea was suggested that he will be out of action for a little while, but they're going to say 9 months or whatever, but he will be back sooner than that. So actually, that would cover every base. So that is the story there, with the Rollins situation. I very much could see the Brian Alvarez kind of route being the case, but we will see. It's a very interesting situation. I tend to think that this is, whether it's WWE covering for an injury and like saying he's going to be out for like a year or whatever, but he's actually going to be out for a couple of months, or a work. This seems to be a leaning work, but like obviously we don't know, and I don't want to cast aspersions about the severity of his injury. It seems like there was an injury. With the buzz around All In Wednesday show should put up great numbers. Yeah, man. I mean, look, as long as you enjoy the show, that's what matters. I heard Seth was hurt before the match. Yep. What will happen to the Seth Riders? Give them time to build up Braun Breaker, for sure. All right, guys. Be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I appreciate every single one of you. Until next time, be happy, be healthy. As always, keep it real. Bye.